Counter-Strike Condition Zero deleted scenes. It's the black sheep of Valve's campaigns, the one that people don't really remember, and if they do remember it, they don't really look back on it fondly. It's kind of taken a backseat to the main Condition Zero game, which itself took a backseat to Source. And I get why, with the new engine and effects and everything else, all the new game modes. Deleted Scenes is all over the place, quality-wise. There are some parts that are really fun, like Secret War and like Rise Hard, and others that really suck, like Miami Heat and Turn of the Crank. So you'd think mods would be the perfect thing to fix that up, but they don't really exist. Not too many of them exist. Though that has changed, and the big question is, can we redeem the campaign of deleted scenes? One such mod comes to answer that question. Condition Zero Deleted Scenes Neo, an unholy amalgamation of the Bandai Namco and Valve arcade game with the campaign by Ritual Entertainment.
Wake up, oppressor! You've nothing to fear. You'll soon be judged, and our people will finally be free.
It's weird. It's fun. It's kind of janky, but it has its own charm, and I want to dive right into it. Counter-Strike Condition Zero Deleted Scenes Neo. It's built off the main campaign of Deleted Scenes with a lot of assets and material from the Counter-Strike Neo arcade game, which was a Counter-Strike arcade game for Japan, believe it or not. Bandai Namco worked with Valve on it with new models and a different art style with like more anime-esque characters, especially a lot of cyborgs and some neon-haired characters, and even a visual novel component, which is pretty crazy. It had servers, I don't know if they're still up to this day, but I'm sure that an ISO for it exists somewhere out there. And a lot of assets from it are ported into deleted scenes, along with other reworks, including weapons and including dialogue for enemies and allies.
We've got a traitor! He's gone wrong! Go! Okay, let's see!
In essence, the story hits the same beats, but with tweaks. Everything is reworked to be reimagined about you fighting against the sinister forces of Neo, a bunch of cyborgs plotting world domination and other nefarious deeds. You're fighting them primarily across Japan, but also in other regions of the world. They sound weirdly German for some reason, but I'll just chalk it up to cybernetics. Maybe they came from the same place as Gunther Hermann of Deus Ex. And this means you'll be traveling to a bunch of different places that have had some touch-ups to look vaguely Japanese-themed, in addition to the other Japan-based locations and missions. The guns basically perform the same, but they look different. They use the models and the hands of the Neo game, so they look nicer, actually. The animations are smooth, the guns look good, they seem like they're mostly the same as Source, but with some minor tweaks. Overall, they look good and animate well. The Condition Zero guns are about the same, but those already looked fine, and they don't seem that out of place alongside the other weapons. Character models can get pretty crazy. You can have some very Shounen protagonist-looking allies on one hand, or some very strange ancient Egyptian-looking allies in other levels. Or some guys in green uniforms and red berets for a more down-to-earth look. Your enemies are often these cyborg-looking guys with grayish-bluish armor, sometimes with pinkish armor as well. And they usually speak with German accents, although there are a few enemies here and there that have American accents. It makes them stand out more, which is very helpful in some levels. Visibility matters a ton in deleted scenes, and every second counts in a fight. I would say that deleted scenes is hard. It is very, very, very hard. Possibly one of the hardest campaigns Valve has, and that's probably one of the reasons why it isn't as well remembered or well liked.
Medic! I've got hostiles! Watch your fire!
It has very cheap moments of difficulty, like Rocketeer enemies that will shoot at you when you're in a tight corridor and reload quickly to get another shot off. Or hits that cause your aim to go all over the place and to allow enemies to stack multiple hits to continue throwing off your aim. Or enemies that survive shotgun blasts at point blank. That aspect can be frustrating, and unfortunately that aspect is still there. Which is why I'd strongly recommend playing this on easy difficulty. Don't go for normal, don't go for hard, don't go for ludicrous, unless you want to go through pain. Just stick with the easiest option. It's still really balanced, I'd say. Enemies are more like glass cannons. You can take them down real quick, but they can put out a lot of damage. So you need to be quick and have quick reflexes, and keep an eye out with good situational awareness all over, especially in vertical-based maps like the warehouse of Turn of the Crank.
Down! We have a friendly down! Hurry!
Lock and load.
Scheiße. This place is booby-trapped.
Let's do some
Everybody
good, sir.
keep your eyes open for tripwires.
The weapons that you find in levels and you start with are also different. It varies from level to level, but you can notice it in more instances than others. Like, for instance, in Secret War, there's a bonus dual elites you can find, but in the mod it's replaced. Same goes for Downed Pilot, where you're using a Galil. And there are some maps where you start with an AK instead of an M4, though the regular guns do show up from time to time. It just gives the lesser used ones more moments to really stand out. And the guns that you get by default, they still work well and they're fun to use. I have a blast mowing down enemies with the M60 or landing no-scope shots with the Scout. The gunplay in deleted scenes isn't the issue. It's fun. I mean, you can say what you want about enemies not dropping weapons, but there's usually enough ammo to go around, even if you aren't looking for secrets. And if you do find secrets, then it just supplements you with more options for completing a level. The shotgun's weak, but it is what it is. You can't have everything. The pistols and rifles and everything else play well, so I'm not complaining on that front. The texture work is interesting. Some levels are given tweaks to their environments and designs to look more like a Japanese setting, whether it's rural, urban, or otherwise. This is more so for some levels than others. There are a decent amount of levels already set in Japan in deleted scenes, so they didn't really need any adjusting. Others are looser, but still plausible. Like, Secret War still plausibly works as a setting in some wintry, mountainous area of Japan. Others, like the desert-themed ones, are a lot tougher sells, but the modders do make an effort to try to change them up a bit, including how allies look, how enemies look, the names and descriptions of levels, and other texture changes to make things look more appropriate. I can appreciate the subtle changes done. They add to the atmosphere and the absurdity of the mod. I think that's what I like best. It's a mod that doesn't take itself seriously, it's janky, it has moments where it doesn't quite work well. Rise Hard's fun, but it crashes about midway through for me. Other levels can't quite be completed due to how much their objectives have changed, though some objective changes are hilarious. Miami Heat is a special one because you, instead of rescuing hostages, you are sent into the bank to assassinate the hostages. Which, it took me a bit to catch on to that, but I cracked up once I realized that was my goal all along. This also happens in at least one other level where you're supposed to take out a hostage instead of rescuing him. Though there are other levels like Downed Pilot where you do rescue hostages after all. And there are lore explanations about Neo brainwashing people to be informants or something, but it's just window dressing at the end of the day.
Grenade! I'm glad it's over.
I appreciate the effort put into it to add more variety. Now, because of that, because of the fact that most levels can be beaten but not all of them, you might not be able to unlock them all by default, so I'd recommend looking up the cheat codes or console commands to unlock everything. I'll include one in the description as well, just so you can get the full experience without having to jump through hoops to unlock everything, and you can just choose the good levels right out the gate, because not all of them are worth pushing through. But I would recommend at least giving the campaign a decent shot throughout, because ultimately, I had a lot of fun with it. And I could tell the modders did too. The credit sequence is a real goofy, fun experience. The bosses are entertaining enough. The model replacements can get absurd, but it adds to the charm. And the weapon changes and such look good and play well to the level's strengths. Sometimes they make it a little more balanced in your favor. Neo is a weird mod, but it's a fun one. I'm always willing to give stuff like this a shot. And as someone with a lot of time in modding, I can appreciate all the work put into it to make something like this turn out the way it did. So shout out to the creators of it. You guys did a pretty good job here, and I like the idea behind this as well. I like seeing a forgotten campaign of Valve's get refurbished with a lesser-known collaboration of Valve's. Kind of comes together into this goofy, janky, and endearing campaign. And it doesn't quite save deleted scenes, but it does make it more entertaining overall. And if nothing else, the extra visibility and different weapons make the campaign a little more survivable. At least on easy. So I'd recommend checking out Condition Zero Deleted Scenes Neo if you want to revisit the Deleted Scenes campaign, or if you're just curious about what the Neo art style was like and you don't have the ISO for the arcade game. You can find it on ModDB, and installation's pretty simple. Thank you all for watching. Take care.